Welcome to our channel, English Avenue. Imagine this. A man who spent his life making people laugh, a comedian who played a fake president on television, suddenly became the real leader of a nation. It sounds like something out of a movie, right? But this is not fiction. This is the real-life story of Volodymyr Zelenskyy. His journey is one of the most unbelievable transformations in modern history. He went from entertaining people on stage to leading a country in one of the most dangerous and challenging times. How does a comedian rise to power? How does a man with no political experience stand up against one of the most powerful leaders in the world? And most importantly, what can we learn from his story? In this biography, you will not only learn English in a fun and easy way, but also get inspired by a man who never gave up. His story is about courage, determination, and believing in yourself even when the world doubts you. So, get ready, because this is not just a biography, it's a story that will shock you, inspire you, and make you believe that anything is possible. On January 25, 1978, in the heart of the Soviet Union, a baby boy was born in a small industrial city called Kryvyi Rih, now in Ukraine. His parents named him Volodymyr Alexandrovich Zelenskyy. Kryvyi Rih was not a place of luxury or wealth. It was a tough city, known for its factories, hard-working people, and freezing winters. Life was not easy there, but for young Volodymyr, it was home. He was born into a Jewish family at a time when being Jewish in the Soviet Union was difficult. People faced discrimination, and opportunities were limited. But his parents, Oleksandr and Rima Zelenskyy, never let that stop them. His father, Oleksandr Zelenskyy, was a brilliant man. He worked as a professor and scientist in cybernetics, a field that studied computers and control systems. He was intelligent, disciplined, and had high expectations for his son. His mother, Rima Zelenskyy, worked as an engineer, a highly respected profession at that time. She was a caring mother who wanted the best for her child. Education was not just important in their house. It was everything. In Soviet society, education was the key to a better life. Oleksandr and Rima wanted their son to study hard, get a good job, and have a secure future. But little did they know that their son had a very different destiny. As a little boy, Volodymyr was full of energy. He was curious about everything. He asked endless questions, always wanting to know more about the world. Even though his father was strict about studies, Volodymyr was not just about books. He had a natural charm, a gift for making people laugh. From a young age, he loved entertaining people. Whether it was making funny faces, telling jokes, or acting out silly scenes, he had a talent for making others smile. At home, he would perform for his family. At school, he would make his classmates laugh. Even teachers, who were usually very serious in Soviet schools, couldn't help but smile at his humor. When Volodymyr was still a young boy, his father got a job offer in Mongolia. The family packed their bags and moved there for a few years. Mongolia was completely different from Ukraine. The landscapes, the people, the language, everything was new and strange. But Volodymyr adapted quickly. He was always an observer, always learning. Even in a foreign country, he found ways to connect with people. He realized that humor is a universal language. You don't need to speak the same words to make someone laugh. After a few years, the family returned to Kryvyi Rih, and Volodymyr continued his schooling. As he grew older, his love for performance only grew stronger. He joined theater groups, took part in school plays, and loved being on stage. Unlike most kids who were nervous about public speaking, he felt alive when people were watching him. He loved the feeling of making an audience react, whether it was with laughter, excitement, or surprise. Despite his talent, school was not always easy. Soviet education was strict. Students were expected to memorize information, follow rules, and focus on math and science. Creativity was not encouraged. His father wanted him to study hard and become an engineer or a scientist, just like him. But Volodymyr's heart was somewhere else. He was good at academics, but his true passion was performing. One day, everything changed. At the age of 16, Volodymyr got the opportunity of a lifetime. He was invited to join a local comedy group that participated in a famous competition called KVN. KVN, Club of the Funny and Inventive People, was one of the most popular comedy competitions in the Soviet Union. It was watched by millions of people. Winning KVN could make you famous overnight. For Volodymyr, this was his dream coming true. But there was one problem. His father was against it. Volodymyr Zelenskyy believed that comedy was not a real career. He wanted his son to focus on law or economics, something serious. But Volodymyr was determined. He knew that comedy was not just fun. It was his passion. He joined the KVN team secretly, without telling his father. His first performance was a huge success. The audience loved him. He had a natural stage presence, an ability to connect with people instantly. His team started winning competitions. They became so popular that they were invited to perform on national television. By the time he was in university, Volodymyr was already becoming a well-known comedian in Ukraine and Russia. His father eventually found out. At first, he was disappointed. But when he saw how much joy it brought his son and how talented he was, he finally accepted it. Little did anyone know, this young comedian was on his way to something far greater than just making people laugh. After his early success in KVN, Zelenskyy and his team, called Kvartal 95, started winning more and more competitions. They weren't just funny, they were creative, smart, and had a special charm that made people love them. In the late 1990s, something big happened. His team was invited to Moscow, the capital of Russia, to perform in the biggest comedy shows on TV. For a young comedian from Ukraine, this was a huge deal. Moscow was the center of entertainment in the region, and being on Russian TV meant becoming famous in all former Soviet countries. At first, the team was nervous. The competition was tough. But Zelenskyy had something different. He was fearless on stage, quick-witted, and knew how to make people laugh even in the most serious situations. And so, he won. Not once, not twice, but many times. Soon, everyone in Ukraine, Russia, and beyond knew his name. Volodymyr Zelenskyy was no longer just a local comedian. He was a star. But he didn't stop there. While most comedians were happy performing in Moscow, Zelenskyy had a different dream. He didn't just want to be a comedian, he wanted to change the world of entertainment. So, in 2003, he made a bold decision. At the age of 25, Zelenskyy and his closest friends founded their own production company called Kvartal 95. It was named after the neighborhood he grew up in, Kvartal, meaning quarter, 95 in Kryvyi Rih. But why start his own company? Because he didn't want to follow the rules of others. He wanted to create his own style of comedy, one that was not just funny, but also smart and bold. At that time, Most comedy shows in Ukraine were controlled by politicians and TV executives. Comedians had to be careful about what they said. Making jokes about politics could be dangerous. But Zelenskyy was not afraid. His team started producing comedy shows that were different from anything on TV. They made fun of corrupt politicians, unfair laws, and the problems people faced in everyday life. And guess what? People loved it. Kvartal 95 became one of the most popular entertainment companies in Ukraine. Their shows were watched by millions of people. And with every joke, every performance, Zelenskyy became more than just a comedian. He became a voice for the people. By 2015, Zelenskyy was one of the biggest TV stars in Ukraine. He had created and acted in many hit shows and movies. But then he did something that nobody expected. He created a TV show that would change his life forever. It was called Servant of the People. And the story? It was about a simple school teacher who accidentally becomes the president of Ukraine after his angry speech about corruption goes viral. Sounds familiar, right? Yes. Zelenskyy himself played the role of the teacher-turned-president. The show was funny, smart, and full of real political messages. It showed how ordinary people were tired of corrupt leaders. It was an instant hit. Millions of people watched it. It became one of the most popular shows in Ukraine. People loved the idea of a normal person, not a politician, becoming the leader of the country. They wished it could be real. And soon, something unbelievable happened. In 2018, Ukraine was going through one of its worst political crises. The people were tired of corruption, broken promises, and dishonest leaders. Every election, politicians said the same things, made the same promises, and then did nothing. People were angry. And then, something crazy happened. A rumor started spreading. What if Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the comedian from Servant of the People, actually ran for president? At first, people thought it was a joke. But Zelenskyy started thinking about it. And in December 2018, he made a shocking announcement. He was running for president of Ukraine. The world couldn't believe it. A comedian running for president with no political experience? Many laughed at him. They thought it was a publicity stunt for a new show. But the people believed in him. Because in their eyes, he wasn't just a comedian anymore. He was a man who had always spoken the truth, who had never been afraid to challenge corrupt politicians, who had made them laugh even in the darkest times. And so, the impossible happened. Zelenskyy became the leading candidate in the election. The world was watching. A comedian, a man who had never been in politics, was now running for president of Ukraine. At first, many people thought it was a joke. Could a man who made people laugh now lead an entire country? But what happened next shocked everyone. Because this was not just a campaign. This was a revolution. Traditional politicians have big teams, rich sponsors, and powerful connections. They appear on serious news channels, give boring speeches, and make big promises that people don't believe. But Zelenskyy was different. He didn't act like a politician. He acted like one of the people. Instead of speaking in big government halls, he made funny but honest videos on social media. Instead of making empty promises, he made people laugh while talking about real problems. Instead of asking for big donations, he asked for small contributions from ordinary citizens. And guess what? It worked. Young people, old people, students, factory workers, farmers, everyone started supporting him because for the first time, They saw someone real, a man who had been poor like them, a man who had grown up in a simple home, a man who had joked about corruption but now wanted to end it. It was April 21st, 2019, the final round of the presidential election. His opponent? Petro Poroshenko, the current president of Ukraine, a man with years of political experience and billions of dollars. The results started coming in, people held their breath, and then, boom, Zelenskyy had won. Not by a little, but by a landslide. He got 73% of the votes, one of the biggest victories in Ukrainian history. A comedian had defeated a billionaire president. The world was shocked. News channels everywhere started talking about it. From TV star to president, the Zelenskyy phenomenon. The comedian who defeated Ukraine's political elite. Can a man with no political experience lead a country? But while the world was talking, Zelenskyy was preparing, because he knew the real challenge was just beginning. On May 20th, 2019, Volodymyr Zelenskyy officially became the president of Ukraine. Most new presidents give long speeches about their plans. But Zelenskyy did something nobody expected. He told everyone in his government, "If you are here just for money or power, please leave now." And guess what? Dozens of politicians resigned on the spot. It was a powerful moment. For the first time, the people saw a president who was not afraid to clean up corruption. For years, Ukraine had suffered from dirty politics. Rich businessmen controlled politicians. Government officials stole money meant for schools and hospitals. Ordinary people struggled while the powerful got richer. Zelenskyy knew that if he wanted to make real change, he had to fight corruption first. So he did something unthinkable. He fired hundreds of corrupt officials. He forced powerful businessmen to follow the law. He stopped shady deals that had been happening for years. And guess what? The corrupt politicians hated him for it. They started spreading rumors, making fake news, and trying to turn people against him. But Zelenskyy didn't stop, because he knew he was fighting for the people. Zelenskyy's first years as president were already challenging. But then, something terrible happened. On February 24th, 2022, the world woke up to shocking news. Russia had launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Bombs were falling. Tanks were moving in. The country was under attack. And suddenly, Zelenskyy, the comedian turned president, was facing the biggest challenge of his life. Many people expected Zelenskyy to run away. Other leaders in history had done it. When war started, they escaped to other countries to stay safe. Even the U.S. government told Zelenskyy, "We can help you escape. We can take you to safety." And his answer? "I don't need a ride. I need ammunition." He stayed. He didn't hide. He didn't run. Instead, he went to the streets of Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. In the middle of the night, with bombs exploding in the background, he took out his phone and recorded a video. "I am here. We are not leaving. We will fight for our country." The people of Ukraine saw that video, and they felt something powerful. They saw a leader who was not afraid, a leader who would fight with them, not from a distance, but right beside them. And that changed everything. Zelenskyy's bravery inspired the world. Leaders from different countries started supporting Ukraine. People from all around the world sent help, money, food, medicine, and weapons. Ukraine, a small country fighting against a much bigger and stronger enemy, was not alone anymore. And through it all, Zelenskyy never stopped speaking to the world. Every day he appeared on TV, gave speeches, and sent messages saying, "We will never give up. We will never surrender." The world was watching, the world was waiting, and the world was wondering, would Ukraine fall? Would its president run away? Would this be the end of Volodymyr Zelenskyy? But then, on a cold February night in 2022, the world heard his voice. A voice filled with strength, determination, and fire. A voice that said something nobody expected. Putin thought that I would leave Ukraine and run away, but I am here. We are all here. We will fight. We will defend our country. We will not surrender. The invasion had begun. Russian tanks rolled into Ukraine. Missiles rained down on cities. Millions of Ukrainians fled their homes, seeking safety. But in the middle of all this chaos, one man did not leave. While other politicians hid in secret bunkers. While other leaders evacuated their families, Zelenskyy stayed. He walked through the streets of Kyiv, filming videos on his phone. He visited soldiers on the front lines, shaking their hands. He gave speeches in underground subway stations, speaking to his people. Why? Because he knew one truth. A leader does not run. A leader stands with his people. As the war continued, Zelenskyy became more than just the president of Ukraine. He became the voice of a nation. He didn't just fight with weapons, he fought with words. And his most powerful speech came when he spoke to the world's leaders. We are fighting for our freedom, but we are also fighting for yours. We will not give up. We will not lose. Glory to Ukraine. The world listened. The world felt his words, and the world took action. When Russia invaded, they thought the war would last 3 days. They thought Ukraine would surrender. They thought Zelenskyy would run away, but they were wrong. 1 week passed, 1 month passed, 1 year passed, and Ukraine was still standing. Zelenskyy knew that he could not fight this war alone. He needed his people. So he did something incredible. He turned ordinary citizens into soldiers. Farmers became fighters. Teachers learned how to shoot. Grandmothers made Molotov cocktails. Everyone, young and old, fought to protect their country. Because this was not just a war of tanks and bombs. This was a war of freedom and survival. And Zelenskyy became the symbol of that fight. Zelenskyy didn't just lead Ukraine, he inspired the world. He spoke to parliaments in the UK, the US, the EU, Canada, Germany, Japan, and many more. He begged world leaders for help. And guess what? They listened. Weapons started coming, money started coming, support started growing. And suddenly, Ukraine, a small country fighting a superpower, was no longer alone. But the fight was not easy. Cities were destroyed. Families were separated. Children lost their parents. Zelenskyy saw his country burning, but he never lost hope. Every day he reminded his people, "We will rebuild. We will rise again. Ukraine will be free." This war was not just about armies. It was about 2 men, Putin, the powerful dictator of Russia, Zelenskyy, president of Ukraine. One man had the largest army in the world. One man had the hearts of his people. One man ruled by fear. One man led with courage. And guess what? Courage was stronger. Because of Zelenskyy, Ukraine is still free. Ukraine is still fighting. Ukraine is still standing. And even though the war is not over, one thing is clear. Ukraine will never give up. Because this is not just a fight for one country. This is a fight for justice, freedom, and the future of the world. War is a terrible thing. It destroys homes. It kills innocent people. It separates families. And Zelenskyy knows that the real victory is not in war, but in peace. One day this war will end. One day the bombs will stop. One day Ukraine and Russia will find peace. And when that day comes, the world will remember one man. A man who refused to run. A man who fought for his people. A man who changed history. His name is Volodymyr Zelenskyy, a comedian, a fighter, a leader, and a symbol of hope for the world. Zelenskyy's story is still being written. His fight is not over, and his legacy will live forever. Because he has shown the world one thing. No matter how big the enemy, no matter how dark the night, the light of courage will always shine. Glory to Ukraine, and peace to Russia and Ukraine. When we think of Volodymyr Zelenskyy, we see a strong leader, a brave president, and a man who stood up for his country. But behind all of that, he is also a husband, a father, and a family man. His personal life is full of love, support, and deep connections, which helped shape him into the man he is today. Zelenskyy's love story is straight out of a movie. When he was in school, there was a girl named Olena Kiashko. She was smart, beautiful, and had a great sense of humor, just like him. But at that time, they were just classmates. Years later, fate brought them together again. They met as adults, started talking, and soon realized they had something special. Their love grew quickly, and in 2003, they got married. What's amazing is that Olena was not a fan of politics at first. She never imagined her husband would become the president of Ukraine one day. But she always supported him in everything he did, whether it was acting, comedy, or leadership. Olena is not just Zelenskyy's wife. She is his biggest supporter, his closest friend, and his strongest partner. Zelenskyy is not just a leader, he is also a father of 2 children. His daughter, Alexandra, was born in 2004. She is talented, smart, and creative, just like her father. In fact, she once appeared in one of his comedy films when she was just a child. His son, Kirilo, was born in 2013. He is still young, but he looks up to his father with great admiration. Zelenskyy loves spending time with his kids. Before politics took over his life, he used to take them on vacations, play games with them, and watch movies together. Even now, in the middle of his responsibilities, he always finds time to call them, check on them, and remind them how much he loves them. Despite being a world leader, Zelenskyy lives a simple life. He loves music and often listens to Ukrainian and international songs. He enjoys sports and used to practice judo and basketball. He has a great sense of humor and still loves to joke around with his friends. His life is not just about politics. Deep down, he is still the same man who loves his family, enjoys a good laugh, and dreams of a peaceful world. Many people wonder, how does Zelenskyy stay so strong? How does he keep going despite all the challenges? The answer is simple. His family. His wife gives him strength. His children give him hope. His people give him purpose. Every time he feels tired or discouraged, he remembers that he is not just fighting as a president. He is fighting as a husband, a father, and a protector of his home. Behind the powerful speeches, behind the wartime leadership, behind the serious face of a president, there is a man who laughs, loves, and cherishes his family. If there is one thing we can learn from Zelenskyy's story, it is this: your past does not define your future. He was a comedian. People laughed at him. Nobody believed he could lead a country. But when the moment came, when history tested him, he rose up. And you can too. You have a choice. Right now, in this moment, you have a choice. Will you stay where you are, or will you fight for your dreams? Will you listen to those who doubt you, or will you prove them wrong? Will you give up when life gets hard, or will you stand up and keep going? Success is not about where you start. It is about where you decide to go. Zelenskyy had no political experience. He had no background in leadership. He had no army training. But he had one thing: a willingness to try. And that is the difference between winners and losers. Losers make excuses. Winners make history. You will fail. You will make mistakes. There will be days when you feel lost, weak, and hopeless. But in those moments, remember this: failure is not the end. It is a test. The universe is asking you, do you really want this? And if you answer yes, if you get back up, if you keep moving forward, if you never give up, then nothing can stop you. Do you know when true champions are made? Not in the spotlight, not when people are watching, but in the dark. When you wake up early to work on your dreams while the world sleeps. When you keep practicing even when no one believes in you. When you stay strong, even when everything seems impossible. That is when you become unstoppable. Zelenskyy was a simple man, but his determination made him a leader. And your determination can make you great too. The world belongs to those who dare to dream. If a comedian can become a president, if a man with no experience can lead a nation, if an ordinary person can change history, then imagine what you can do. No dream is too big. No goal is impossible. The only question is, do you have the courage to fight for it? You have been waiting. You have been hesitating. You have been doubting yourself, but no more. Your time is now. Start today. Take action. Believe in yourself, because one day your story could inspire the world. One day people will look at you and say, this person never gave up. This person made history. And that person is you. No matter where you are today, no matter what struggles you face, never stop believing. Never stop trying. Never stop fighting for your dreams, because the world is waiting for you. And I promise you this: one day, your hard work will pay off. One day, your story will be remembered. One day, you will look back and say, I did it. So stand up, take the first step, and never, ever give up. Your future starts now.